there's hundreds of thousands of parents whose children have been seized by DCFS. In your city, it may be called CPS or maybe called DFS, whatever they call it in your city. It's time to begin to educate the people about the nefarious ways of these types of systems that traffic kids for federal money. Um, as some of you may know, I had an extensive run-in with DCFS from 2014. JJ, what's the dinner there? Peace and blessing to you. From 2014 all the way to 2000 and I want to say 22, me fighting nonstop for my kids. Them telling me that I'm not a good father. Them telling me, oh, you have to do these classes and do this. Oh, it's been 6 months, 7 months, 8 months before. It has been 6 months, 7 months, 8 months since you have completed this class. Now we want to see you commit more. We want to see you do the classes again. I did the DCFS parenting classes so many times, and I became so skilled and effective in it that they made me a parenting class instructor, right? This is a topic that's affecting hundreds and thousands of parents and millions of kids. I don't know if y'all know that 70% of the sex workers out in the streets come from DCFS or CPS in your city. Over 70% of those who are high school dropouts, failures in school, over 70% of those who are taking psychotropic drugs are individuals who was in the DCFS system. The DCFS system, it damages, it destroys, and it breaks families and households. And sometimes the damage that these kids, these children and parents sustain is irreversible. The anxiety, the stress, the depression. I've seen many of families whose kids were unlawfully, unconstitutionally removed from their custody, and these parents was good, fit parents, but what they did, they resorted to smoking drugs, crystal methamphetamine, never had a drug condition. And over time, as they're utilizing these controlled substances to try to help them self-regulate or help them get some form of a relax and break and a zen moment, they develop a mental health disorder. This is a regular functioning family that gets into it with, just say, Keisha from down the street. Keisha's being vindictive. Keisha calls DCFS and make false allegations. But the thing about DCFS and this corrupt and flawed system is you don't have to have any evidence in their court of law. In a criminal court of law, you have to have evidence or preponderance of evidence or something to say this person did that. And DCFS being that they're trafficking kids for money, all they need is the hearsay. They say, well, that's possible. It's a possibility that that could have affected the kids, or it's a possibility that this could have happened. So when you go into DCFS court, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to give you an attorney that's going to pose as a friend, but work as a spy and an enemy to you. First and foremost, if you ever find yourself in DCFS custody, you're not obligated, you're not mandated to make any statements. Don't make no statements. Understand that it's similar to the criminal law judicial system. Anything you said will and can be used to your detriment, and they're going to use it. And the reason why it will behoove you not to make any type of statements to these DCFS workers that's coming out to take your kids, damage your kids, put your kids in situations to where they can be raped, abused, mistreated, so on and so forth. My kids, when they were in DCFS custody, they sustained various levels of trauma. I won't speak in regards to their trauma and what they had to go through when they were in the custody of DCFS, because they're older now. We're living in a time, in an era where kids are being cyberbullied. A person could watch my video and then get ammunition to use against my kids. Oh, this happened to you in DCFS. Now we have a bigger problem. I'm already trying to improve. I'm a single father of a daughter, of a young lady. I'm already finding ways, researching and using past experience to improve my communication while I'm trying to develop my daughter's comprehension. Hands-on is something that we don't practice. I was a kid who was severely beaten by my father. I still have scars and not all over my body, not all over my body, but in certain parts of my body where I was whipped with stenching cords and thick belts and so on and so forth. So when it comes to discipline and being a disciplinarian, right, what I elect to do is communicate. You have to communicate to me why you're missing classes. You have to communicate to me why you're not taking your education serious. You have to communicate with me and explain to me why, excuse me, why haven't you washed the dishes? Why have you did this? Why have you did that? Because if we communicate with our kids and not be so much of a hands-on disciplinarian, we build up their comprehension. We build up their problem solving. We build up their ability to communicate, comprehend, and navigate through this thing called life. But getting back to what I was saying about this corrupt system, you don't want to make any statements to these DCFS workers. If they come and take your kids, ask them what is it that you have to do in order to get your kids, get your court date, instantly get on the phone with some type of attorney and start making a game plan. Your first day of court, you should be going on record. If you're, and 9 times out of 10, the DCFS attorneys isn't going to do this, but you should be saying that I have the right to cross-examine my accusers and get that on documented, because 9 times out of 10, the DCFS workers are falsifying documentation. They're committing perjury. So if you can get them on stand to commit perjury, that's a crime, punishable by some form of prosecution, a fine, and jail time for committing perjury and falsifying documents. But what that judicial system like to do is keep the social workers out of court. They just have the social workers to write reports. And a lot of these reports, in 80% of the cases, a lot of these reports is going to be to your detriment. I want to share something with you from me doing being in the mental health field of work and me being a caseworker, so on and so forth. If it's not documented, it never happened. From the time that they come to your door, you should be documented how the conversation went according to you, because the conversation that they're going to report to the court, it's not going to be something that you can use to your defense or you can use to your benefit. So the number one thing, if you ever get your kids took, is shut the fuck up. You don't have to talk to them. You don't owe them any explanation, and understand that anything that you tell them, they're going to flip it. They're going to perjure it, and they're going to use it to your detriment. They're not your friends, no matter how cordial they seem. See, people have to understand the difference between being a friend, being friendly, and being cordial. I can cordially come into your house, into your neighborhood, into your community with malicious intent, cordially. Hello, how you doing? Oh, this is this, and so on and so forth. But all the time I have ulterior motives to take your kids, because every kid that they take, they're incentivized for taking kids because they get federal grant money. Well, not grant. They get money from the government, not a certain allocation of money. They get money from the government on a kid by kid basis. So they've been incentivized for taking kids. So when they come to your home, man, they're not looking at it as a child that's in distraught, a child that's in distress. They looking at it as a bag. The more kids they take, the more money that they get. So make a long story short, man, DCFS is a corrupt and flawed system that allow kids to be raped, severely abused, and a lot of times the trauma, the pain that's inflicted on these kids in the Department of Children and Family Services is situations that in certain cases it takes some intensive and extensive treatment, counseling and whatnot to reverse the effects of the level of trauma that they experienced in DCFS. They're allowing kids to be prostituted out. They're allowing kids to be raped and abused. And they're doing this knowingly. When that unfortunate and traumatic experience had befallen my children, DCFS tried to cover it up. Here it is, an innocent father that has proof that the allegations and accusations that you're bringing against me is falsified. You think they considered that? You think they introduced that into court? No, they used my attorney to railroad me. Everything that they told me to do, I completed in less than a year. What is it that I have to do to get my kids back? Parenting classes. Oh, I checked in them the day after you all took my kids. You want me to do what? Okay. I have several programs on a sheet that I printed out. I will be in that program today. 6 months, done. But the thing is, they began to railroad me, and I seen how corrupt this system was. So I began to research the law. One of the first things that was educated about, they have to set aside, allocate a certain amount of units per court session to hear the case. So when I went in there and I asked the judge, Your Honor, I would like to respectfully note, because my attorney wasn't speaking for me. One thing about that court, whatever said in that court is going to be documented. So if I allow my attorney to continue to put a gag over my mouth and I don't speak, then I can't document what I'm going to need to help me in the liberation of my kids in the litigation of this system, right? So I raised my hand and I stood up. I said, Your Honor, I would like to know how many units is allocated for this hearing. Oh, we don't do units in my court and blase, blase, blase. And I threw some more things at him. And he was flabbergasted. He was discombobulated. He wanted to know, how did this nigga know this legal jargon? How did he know that we're supposed to be running this by this type of book? But all I did was make myself a target. I was just so unfortunate to get a social worker, African guy, who was telling me that I need Jesus in my life. So I said, hey, listen, man, because I had made several complaints that when I go down there to visit my daughter, I'm unable to have bonding time with my daughter because they have us meeting at this church. So when I go into the church, they're doing their church, the things that they do in the church and whatnot. I don't subscribe to any religion. So I'm asking the woman, Miss Wilkerson, can I take my daughter outside and we can bond and run around and, this. Oh, no, you have to be here with your whoop. And then when the church service is over, I got to go home. I can't be doing. But the objective of reunification is allowing parents to bond with their children. See what it was, Miss Wilkerson was starving my daughter. Miss Wilkerson was beating my daughter. Miss Wilkerson was depriving my daughter of water, essential things. My daughter used to come to the visits, man, she looked so frail and her lips was all chapped and cracked up and all this and all that. And it was revealed to me through my daughter's mother, who went and visited my daughter over Miss Wilkerson's mother house because they stayed on like Santa Ana around the corner from the projects, right? And she heard my daughter in there, can I please have some water, please? I'm thirsty. No, you ain't having no water because you was bad with you. So you using water, which is an essential thing for the day-to-day function of a human's body. You depriving my daughter of water? Oh man, I was infuriated. I was infuriated. It took a lot to talk myself out of doing what I was going to do to that woman and her people. Because she got family from the projects that I'm from. And I was so hurt, I was so broken, that I wanted to hurt some motherfuckers. Fast forward. I go see my daughter over on Crenshaw in like 45th, 46, 47. Go see my daughter over there. Always gave my daughter my phone. Here, baby, take the phone and play games, do what it is that you do. So one day my daughter run up to me and she going for my phone and she snatched her hand back. I say, hold on. I say, come here, Imani. Are you okay? And she just looked like she was terrified. I said, what's wrong, mama? I say, well, come here. You want the phone? And she shook her head like this, and then she started crying. I said, hold on. No, something ain't right with this. The way she snatched her hand back was as if she was attempting to play with other people's phones and she got popped. I say, no, cuz, fuck this. Enough is enough. I looked at my daughter's hand, one of those military type of chains that look like a dog tag. It's kind of like beads, silver beads. My daughter had one of those on her arm that was on her so tight that it started cutting into her skin. So I made a complaint to Mr. Uche, DCFS worker Uche. This is the same dude who's trying to force feed me Jesus. You need Jesus. You need Jesus. No, I need my daughter. I need my kids. I need to complete the programs and services to put me in a better standing with the court. That's what I need at this time. No, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. See, that is your problem, brother. You need Jesus. Listen, man, I'm not here to debate whether or not I need Jesus. I need parenting classes. I need anger management. I need all the other services that they're saying is required in order for me to get my kids. That's what I need. I'm not here to debate Jesus with you. There's no debating Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, my brother. I say, listen, man, you put your everything in the Bible and everything that's associated with Jesus, right? He said, yes. Yes, I do. I start giving him contradictions out the Bible. What I began to do was persecute him unknowingly to me. But I'm not here to debate the relevance of Jesus. I'm not here to debate the relevance of Jesus. I'm here to see what the fuck I got to do to get my motherfucking kids. And you telling me that I should be in a church for all my visit, incapable of bonding with my daughter, talking to my daughter, seeing what the fuck is going on. See, the woman, Miss Wilkerson, was hiding a lot of shit. One time I was unable to get down to we was meeting in Compton off of El Segundo, church on El Segundo. One day I couldn't get down to the visit. I was staying in Adelanto. So my other's daughter, Amani, her mama went to the visit for me, right? When she get in the church, she observes the woman, Miss Wilkerson, grab my daughter and shake her and slam her in the seat. If it's not documented, it never happened. When she relayed that to me, I instantaneously wrote up a long email to Mr. Uche and Mr. Uche's supervisor. They shot me down. Oh, if you didn't personally witness it, it's hearsay, this, that, and third. Boom. I go to the visit at the church. The woman's Miss Wilkerson, she grabbed this little Hispanic boy. She's shaking. She slammed him in the seat, and then she pinched the fuck out of him. She been abusing them kids. Imagine the psychological pain and trauma that these kids go through when you're taken from your kids, when you're taken from your parents. It's been scientifically proven that when a child is taken from his parents, it develops something called separation anxiety. Even animals go through it. Puppies, cubs, anything that's taken prematurely from his mother go through separation anxiety. It can either be a 1, 2, 3, 4-month-old baby because they're energetically connected. The sound of that mother's voice resonates with that baby. And then when you take that baby from that comforting sound, that confident voice, and that connection, that baby began to have panic attacks. Let me tell you what happened to my daughter when they took my daughter from me. My daughter was walking, talking, all this, right? They took my daughter from me. My daughter stopped walking. My daughter stopped talking. They were saying that my daughter was handicapped. They was trying to say that she was, excuse me for lack of better words, but this is what the social worker told me, that my daughter was retarded. She was mentally delayed because she wasn't walking and she wasn't talking. I say, no. We're not about to do this. See, what they tried to do is to get your kids labeled as D-rate, because then they get more money whenever the kids have some type of developmental issue. I say, no, we're not about to do this. I understand the system. I know what's going on. I was raised in the system. My mother and my father gave up on us, my siblings or whatnot, even though we was placed with family, but we were still in the system, right? So I give them videos of my daughter walking. I give them videos of my daughters talking. And I said, well, because I've been doing a lot of research. I said, well, my daughter was going through a separation anxiety. You feel what I'm saying? They was already making plans to write my daughter off and treat her as a disabled just so they can get additional pay. But make a long story short, man, this is what I'm saying. Fast forward now, today, current parent, right? And I went through it, homie. I went through it. I feel like the world was against me. I feel like I didn't have nobody. At every turn, at every doorway, every window way, they were shutting it on me, telling me I'm not a good father. I'm not this. I never get my kids back. Mr. Jones, why are you fighting so hard? You will never get these kids back. I said, you's a motherfucking lie. Those kids come from me. I don't care what becomes of my life. I don't care what sacrifices I have to make. I'm going to make all those sacrifices to make sure I get my kids. It was to the point to where I was on some psychotic shit, and I wanted to do some crazy shit to show these motherfuckers you cannot continue to gaslight me. You cannot continue to manipulate me. You cannot continue to coerce me. You cannot continue to make me enter into pleas and do classes and shit that I already did under duress, stress and duress and coercion. It's a mental game that they play on you. And a lot of parents don't make it back from this mental game. And we need to spread awareness to what's going on, because when you ride up and down Figueroa, if you just took the time out to get out of your car and ask those young ladies out there, did you have a mama and a daddy? A lot of them gonna say no. Did you grow up in DCFS care? A lot of them gonna say yes. A lot of these addicts that's downtown LA and roaming the ghettos of America and whatnot, they're addicted to drugs that was given to them legally. They get into these systems, and you have a kid that may be a little defiant, but they want the kids to be defiant because it justifies them getting them misdiagnosed and over medicated. So we're gonna misdiagnose this child, say this child has this, and we're gonna prescribe this child this medication, but this medication is gonna make this kid act out or not act at all. Some of them become zombie-like. They don't want to go to school. They just want to sleep. So when you say, hey, come on, let's get out of the bed, you got to go to school, and they say no. And you keep on asking them, all they want to do is sleep and rest, because this medication makes them, what's the word, lethargic. This medication makes them lethargic. It makes them sleepy. It makes them depressed. So when he say no, and you keep, come on, we got to go. When he leave me the fuck alone, I just want to sleep. Oh, he's defiant. He's aggressive. So let's give him this medication with that medication. So now he's like a zombie, growing wind, boobs, gaining a lot of weight, because a lot of these medications slow down the metabolism. So what you're teaching these kids is that in life, in order for you to self-regulate, you have to self-medicate. You have to be off some type of controlled substance in order for you to be able to perceive this thing we call life. Raynisha Hubbard is a sister and a friend of mine that's doing a lot of groundbreaking work in regards to DCFS, man. And I want to invite her on, man. And this is a situation and a topic that we got to discuss, man, because a lot of parents wasn't as resilient as me. A lot of parents wasn't as strong as me. A lot of parents wasn't as persistent as me, because they feel like they didn't have nobody. That system make you feel like no matter what you do, you ain't getting these kids. It's us against you. And that can psychologically break a lot of people. It almost psychologically broken me. Certain parts of the day, certain parts of the night, I don't even like people's knocking on my door, because it triggers me. When I hear the word social worker and seeing the negative effects and the negative contributions and the pain, the trauma that they brought into my life and the life of my kids, I get triggered. I don't want to be around no motherfucking social workers. I don't even like the word. This is word is bond, because I know how crooked and corrupt and dirty this game is, homie. And they taking our kids. This is a sensitive topic for me, so I want y'all to bear with me, cuz if there's any parents out there fighting against DCFS, please contact me and contact my homegirl, Raynisha Hubbard. I'm going to bring her on. I don't never want y'all to feel like y'all alone. And y'all can't conquer this shit, man. This is something that we can conquer. This is something that we're going to increase and spread awareness in regards to. And we're going to clean up, or we're going to destroy this corrupt system, homie, that's going after African American and Latino kids and corrupting and fucking up their lives. A lot of kids' lives was permanently, the trajectory of their lives was permanently altered by them going into the custody of DCFS. Them being sexually molested, physically abused. And then they start to blame the parents. Why wasn't you there for me when I was being raped and molested? Why wasn't you there for me when I was being beaten? Why wasn't you there for me for this, that, and third? But they don't understand the complexities and the inner workings of this corrupt system. It's another form of divide and conquer. And then they start to play psychological games on the kids. Your parents they can't scream at you. They can't tell you what to do. You're your own person. You should be able to express yourself as woo woo. But that's not the way that God in the Bible in life says that you are supposed to provide supervision, authority, and guidance to a child. You can't put a child in a situation to where they can run willy-nilly, because then they become accustomed to running willy-nilly. And then when you come and you try to redirect and correct the behavior, it's like you're the bad guy. I've been doing this, Dad. They let me do this. They let you do that because they're giving you enough rope to hang yourself. They creating a paper trail to when you go out there in society and you start messing up, they already got a paper trail. Oh, this guy's been a misfit since he was a child, misbehaving in class, doing this, doing that, stealing cars, doing this, doing that, doing everything. But you incentivize these kids for doing that. It's creating a paper trail. But I ain't gonna talk no longer, man. I gotta get in here. I just came from picking my daughter up from school, man, and I'm trying to express to her the importance of education. The passport out of poverty is education and attitude, and knowing how to apply and utilize both to your advantage. The traumas that my daughter had sustained in DCFS puts her in a position to where she likes to self-isolate. She likes to be alone. That's her coping skill. That's her coping mechanism. It's too much going on. I'm overstimulated. My senses is going crazy. I just need to be alone so that I can relax and I can tell myself that everything is cool. This is the side effects of the trauma and the abuse and other things that she endured in DCFS custody. And it's like, as a single father, like, what do you do? We didn't try counseling, all this and all that, right? We didn't try everything. I'm a committed father, never giving up on my kids. I don't give up how hard it gets, how challenging it become, how difficult it may seem. I'm not giving up on my kids. And you shouldn't either, right? So I say all that to say this. When she go into these offices to talk to these therapists and whatnot, it's a money game. They all want to prescribe medication. But when I say, hey, we got insurance, we got this, that, and third, how about we get it's a thing that they put on the head to change the neural paths in the brain to where it can get it can get as close to normal as it was pre-trauma. They don't want to do that. They don't want to take into consideration that their training and their curriculums and the doctrines that they go and learn in these schools talk about neural plasticity, how the brain is able to change the wavelengths and this, that, and third to get the brain back to the way that it was pre-trauma. But I'm going to read it for a few of these comments, man. I'm about to jump up off this thing, man. I appreciate y'all macking in. I see a lot of comments. I appreciate it. Dubs is calling Carmelo family race baiting. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. I got a job and, oh, shit, I got to get off this thing. I got to go get my hair braided and get ready for this job interview, cuz. Y'all step and be blessed.